Hey, good afternoon, world, and happy St. Patrick's Day. I'm coming to you on, Thursday, March 17th, 2022 at approximately 2 p.m. my time. And yet another wild and crazy world. And I guess I'm channeling my inner St. Patrick's today to try to lead you past the snakes that are everywhere in this world, looking to either tempt you with forbidden knowledge to take you to the dark side or to lead you off into Armageddon. And I'm here to lead you to, quite frankly, the truth. And that's what this is all about. And it gets more and more clear every day, guys. I mean, it's insane. It's insane. I turn on my computer, my phone, I'll look at YouTube channels, and there's like 15, 20, 30 people, blaring truths to me, many of whom are some of the smartest people that exist on the planet, some of the most connected, some of the most knowledgeable, some of the most, quite frankly, I'm going to say inventive by way of their instincts to be able to do a lot of things that the mainstream won't provide for us. So the mainstream is one giant glob of deception. And I don't even know if the people working at mainstream have any idea how bad they are. But it's really not worth the hill of beans, the information that comes out of mainstream, even those that are the most vaunted in our society. I mean, it's so bad, I can't even begin to try to assess how bad it's become. And I think it's really the business model. There's just so much noise and there's so much information. There's so much that people are trying to listen to and nobody can really put their finger on it. But at the same time, there's a lot of dastardly ways that people utilize all sorts of technological insight into what people respond to, and then they play upon that, and it just becomes this downward cycle into insanity, and it's a confederacy of dunces, and it's Orwellian and everything else. But quite frankly, I just think it's stupid. It's just a bunch of people who have no idea how the world works, and then a bunch of people that are hyenas and jackals who know how to maneuver around anything and who can lie still in deceit all day, every day, and get really good at it. So it's like the lambs being led to slaughter. So I'm trying to save everybody, even though my last name is Wolf, and I'm not a wolf in sheep's clothing. I'm just a guy that's, on a mission to freaking try to establish that we have to reconstitute life, liberty, and justice for all because it's been completely hijacked and stolen. And nobody understands how it works. And by nobody, I mean literally all of these faces in my phone screaming at me day in and day out and saying, either politely or insightfully in some way that something doesn't make sense, but they don't know what that something is because they kind of think how it works, and yet they want to be this and that because they're comedians, or they might be somebody that's not quite mainstream, and all of these different confusing sort of scenarios where nobody can even come remotely close to the truth because it's not in their arsenal. We're in a post-truth society. And it's funny, I'm stuck in like the last 13 years because the more things change, the more they stay the same. And quite frankly, nothing has changed. And what I wanted to just, bring on you guys in a big way today is I just got off the phone with one of with the most notable economists that exist. In fact, I think he's the most insightful economist I've ever heard in my life. And it's amazing what kind of access I have. So many of you are asking me, well, what do you know? You haven't discovered anything because they don't know who I am because there's a lot of noise. And I keep telling you what I've done is delivered the truth that undergirds the entire system of power. It's called The Con. Go to www.thecon.tv and it's all there. You can watch it for $2 an episode or you can watch it for free. I've said it in a bunch of different ways, and I don't think I'm going to spend too much time saying that now except possibly in conclusion. But, when I was talking to this economist today, the reason I reached out to him is because I've got a laundry list of incredible detailed information, both from people out there in the ether that are reaching out to me. I've literally had people from all over the world try to reach out to me to say, oh my God, I've seen the con and holy shit, the light suddenly is dawning on my face and I can understand what this is all about. And then we've started to have a lot of people in the industry. Well, people that we might call whistleblowers, people that have worked in the courts, people that worked in foreclosure mills, people that work for servicers that are reaching out like hand over fist right now to say, yeah, what you're saying is true. Which is just remarkable because I never in a million years thought that I would tap, the motherload of just so many people coming forward right now. And I just wanted to keep going. So all you have to do is find me on social media. Reach out to me on Facebook. I'm Patrick S. Lovell. Reach out to me on Twitter. I'm Patrick Lovell1. Reach out to me, I think on Instagram you can find me. I'm pretty much all over social media. And of course, in the comment section here on TikTok. But if you've got information that you want me to know that I can tie in, right now is a really good time to do it because I'm talking to some extremely important people and bringing a lot of information together. And what I want to tell you that nobody else will is that the 2008 great financial crisis never ended. It's what our entire society is built upon. And I want you to imagine this. If there was a giant toxic landfill, and you decided to build a city on top of that, that's what we've done. That's not a great foundation, and it will collapse. But it works for somebody. So who's it working for? So you need to understand what I have been telling you day in and day out, okay? There's a systemology of power that works behind in the shadows, quite frankly, because they have so much power, and they've got layer after layer of either attorneys or business people or accountants or politicians or journalists or anybody in the power structure that's literally working for these entities to make sure you don't understand how the system works. I'll give you a telltale sign. I think many people here and all over the world know how to play poker. Well, if you're playing poker, in a way that's going to actually have you win some of the pots, you got to read the table. And there's a telltale sign in what's going on now with the Federal Reserve. And what do you think that is? Well, markets are crashing all over the world. I mean, the Chinese market crashed to levels worse than where they were in 2008 the last couple of days. And, China has had its own challenges with the real estate market and other Ponzi scheme-like atmospheres that I think they've learned from us. I mean, they're just as corrupt as we are, if not worse, right? But at the same time, their markets are going down in a big way. Our Federal Reserve announced a rate hike yesterday, which throughout all the history that I've been alive when that happens, the markets get roiled. But that didn't happen yesterday. It didn't happen the day before. Markets are going through the roof in the United States. I talked to one of the most important economists in the world 5 minutes before I pressed play on this, and I asked him what the hell is going on. You know what he said? He doesn't know. Nobody knows. Nobody knows how this is possible except for one potential telltale sign. That there's people behind the system that have so much power and resources, and it's co-fingled with the Federal Reserve, that they're doing things that none of us can actually figure out. Maybe they're playing their cards close to their chest this time, because they've certainly revealed in the last couple of years, over the course of the last, quite frankly, going back to 2009, that they were completely corrupt, just like this Ultimate Fighter proclaimed the other day that I'm trying to get in contact with as well. So if you happen to be out there, then you happen to watch this and the two of us try to put us together, because he needs to know the information that I have. But when it winds up in a situation where the Fed announces rate hikes on top of this oil scenario that's madness right now because of the war in Russia or Ukraine, based on Putin's invasion and so on and so forth, and everything that's going on throughout the world, and markets are going up. Yeah. What that means ultimately, guys, is somebody has a fix-it in like a big plug behind the scenes that none of us actually know about, except for probably the CIA. There's so many tricks. There's so many people that are in the shadows that are so deep that, I can only imagine who they are and how they operate and what they do, knowing what I've known after the last 13 years. But what you need to understand is that our courts were used to completely foreclose illegally upon millions of people using illegal documentation fraud, and that the judges knew it. It's happening now. It never stopped happening. And what we had actually, the big transition that I think really I need to express that we should all be considering, because I'm going to be doing a deep dive on this pretty soon, is the fact that back in, let's say, 2014, 15, right after the national mortgage settlement, we had a big problem with the MERS system, which was the Mortgage Electronic Registry System that was put together by none other than Covington and Burling, who hatched our former AG, Eric Holder. Okay, in fact, Eric Holder went back to Covington and Burling, and Covington and Burling is one of the most powerful law firms in the history of the United States. I think they've been there since the Civil War. Their offices are literally, I think, equidistant between Congress and the White House. And they're incredibly involved, right? And so those guys were involved with being some of the architects of the MERS process that led to robo-signing, that supposedly led to the $25 billion national mortgage settlement, that supposedly sent all sorts of different help to stabilize the housing market, but it didn't. It went to the states to make sure they stabilized themselves with the loss of tax revenue from the 2008 Great Financial Crisis. And what they did was they bulldozed millions upon millions of people into illegal foreclosures done by bottom feeders known as servicers and foreclosure mills that get to operate with impunity, and the judges allow them to do that. If you've known anybody who's gone through this system, they got set up, they got raped, they got purged, they got eaten and destroyed. And that's been going on for 13 freaking years. And there's a reason it happens the way it does, because there's a trickle-down effect of Federal Reserve monetary policy where we stuck trillions of dollars into the asset managers that ended up buying this stuff on the cheap. And that's what's created this hyena sort of jackal, they smell the blood in the waters and can get away with anything. I got this information yesterday from a servicer in California who revealed to me, and this is insane, what it's all about, what we all knew. But this guy's an insider, and he wouldn't go on the record, so I can't reveal his name, and I'm not going to be able to tell you who he is, but I'll be able to get this information elsewhere, even though I already have it. But I need to get more of it, quite frankly. But the servicers and the foreclosure mills would just dummy up documentation fraud to get it in the state of California as a non-judicial state to where they can literally get these houses at the auction super clean, super quick by just purging and getting these sheriff's offices to go through with these evictions, even though they didn't have the frickin' proper standing. Because nobody through the chain of title, through what we call UCC Code 3 and UCC Code 9, and the way it ended up with the GSEs and so forth, literally had the ability to foreclose, given our statutes and how foreclosure is supposed to work. You can't foreclose on somebody unless they owe you the debt and you can prove it. They never did, but nor did they have to, because the judges and the whole system cleaned this up on the behalf of the United States Treasury and the Federal Reserve, and they did that because they wanted the United States citizenry to be foam on the runways for this illegal grift, massive criminal Ponzi scheme, mafiosa, Don control that owns and can control and manipulate everything at our expense. Think it's hyperbole? You think it sounds like I'm being, Alex Jones-ish? Watch the con. Figure it out for yourself. Come back and ask me more questions. I've got so much information on my shelves. It's unbelievable. I have access to people all over the globe. I have access to the most, highest place regulators in our system, as well as forensic analysis and the best attorneys and AGs and people at the SEC. I've been there, done that. And so what I'm telling you is what people in all of media, be they a comedian who pretends to be somebody who wants to understand this stuff, but they're not talking to me. So that either means one of two things. They don't know who I am. I haven't come to them because I haven't come through, let's say an agent that's at the level of somebody that they work with because they work with Apple, or, they happen to be, seen by millions of people and they're from Hollywood and they're celebrities. Look, celebrities and comedians aren't investigative journalists as much as their heart might want them to be. I wasn't an investigative journalist until I became one after 13 years of insane effort. But here I am, and it's ridiculous. And I'm St. Patrick, trying to lead the good people of the world who believe in life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and the integrity of law, and a real deep desire for justice past the frickin' snakes that this goddamn oligopoly and this insane corruption has perpetrated on all of us. It's betrayal at a level that is beyond comprehension. Are these loaded words? Yeah, but not really, because that's what they've done. I'm just the one calling them out. So I hope that you'll all pay attention to me. I know that we've reached about 700,000 on my personal hashtag Patrick Lovell. We're about at 1 million on hashtag The Con. And, we're seeing a growth on YouTube. And I swear we need to see more people. Please like and subscribe Patrick Lovell, Truth Bombs The Con on YouTube, because there could be a time. I just saw that TikTok executives were meeting with someone at the White House about what? About somebody named Patrick Lovell coming on and telling the truth about how our system is completely corrupt. I can imagine. I've raised my voice. I've shouted. I'm going to try not to do that anymore, because hopefully I got your attention. I just need you to come closer, because I've got the truth. And the truth is the whole system is corrupt. And I know who did what, when, and how, and who covered it up. And ultimately how we can actually reboot our system. Because if we don't reboot this, guys, and I guess this is just the ultimate, message to you. They're going to destroy you. They're going to destroy us. They will destroy everybody except for potentially, I don't know if it'll drip down to the top 10%. I mean, maybe the top 5%. The 1% will be saved. That's what's on display right now. The Federal Reserve height rakes, and yet the markets during wartime go through the roof. That's an impossibility. Except if somebody was planning this and somebody was anticipating this, somebody with deep pockets beyond your comprehension, and it was coordinated. That's the only way, because the day that these guys decide to smash and grab and loot it all again, whoever they may be, I mean, I think they're right in front of our face. I mean, Jon Stewart didn't know what questions to ask Jamie Dimon, and I saw several people in media today that are, independent media that were very, flattering of Jon Stewart and all the questions that he asked Jamie Dimon. He didn't know what to ask Jamie Dimon. And so there's people that are independent journalists that are trying to cozy up to Jon Stewart because they're like, Jon, you're asking all the right questions, when that means they don't know anything. They really don't. The writers of the Jon Stewart Show don't know anything. They're great guys. They're good guys. I'd love to be friends with them, drinking with them, and back in the old days, do all sorts of partying down because they're just beautiful human beings. I love comedy, but they're not investigative journalists. I'm Patrick Lovell. I'm St. Patrick, man. Let's get this. We're fast approaching. I'm going to mix metaphors with religious, biblical references, but we're on the shores of the Red Sea. Let's hashtag the Exodus, and that'll get us to truth, liberty, and justice for all if we go through the resurrection. It's all based in the con, and there's more. There's always more. Thank you for tuning in. Please ask questions. Please connect with me all over the place. If you got great stories, I want to hear them. I actually need to see a lot of evidence too, and I don't want to spend 5 hours talking to you, because one thing I've learned about with some of these stories is that everybody's got a story like I used to, and sometimes I talk too much too, but usually to go through these stories, you've got to go through years and years and years of analysis, and we just got to get to the point, man. Whatever you got, let me see it, let me have it. The more the merrier. We've got to build a freaking truth wave here, right? Let's flush corruption down the drain. Let's do this. Onwards and upwards. Be well.